All right, so welcome to this video. Today we'll be looking at descriptive statistics. And with me, I have this tutorial sheet here that is going to help us understand a lot of concepts under descriptive statistics. Okay, so in summary, this tutorial sheet will cover three main topics. The first one will be the descriptive statistics, okay? And then we'll look at the data presentation, and then we'll look at the types of data and interpretation. Okay, but if I would mention all the sub-concepts that we're going to talk about, we're going to start with the basic statistical definitions, like what is statistics, what is a population, what is a sample, we compare the parameter and a statistic there. Okay, so those are just basic statistical definitions. Then we'll talk about the types of variables and scales. Okay, so we have qualitative variables, we have quantitative variables, discrete variables, continuous variables, and then we'll talk about the measurements scales, like the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio, something like that. Then we'll move from there to talk about the measures of location. How can we find the mean? Can we find the median? How can we find the mode? And the like. We'll also talk about the measures of spread or the measures of dispersion, like the range, the variance, standard deviation, and the interquartile range. Okay. We'll get also to understand what outliers are. So outliers are just unusual values. Okay. Let's say you have a data set and then you have this one value which is unusual. Either it's very big or it's very small. We're going to be calling such values as outliers. We're going to learn how to sketch or to come up or to construct a stem and leaf plot, okay, as well as a box and whisker plot, okay, and how to just interpret those diagrams. Okay, from there, we'll talk about the skewness of the data. So is it symmetric? Is it positive skewed? Is it negative skewed? We are going to learn all those concepts. We're also going to learn how to represent data on a pie chart, okay, as well as a bar graph. And then we're also going to talk about histograms that are made using the frequency density. So the frequency density is simply the frequency divided by the class width. So like this question here, okay, we'll just be making the histogram with the frequency density. Okay, we'll also talk about the frequency polygons. Okay, so the frequency polygons are just easily gotten from the histogram. Okay, and then we'll end with the real life interpretations of whatever we'll learn here. Okay, like the patient recovery times using statistics, admission courses, procedure times, health information, and the like. Those are just going to be applications of the what? Of the descriptive statistics that we're going to do. So we're going to solve all these questions in this tutorial sheet. Okay, so let's start with question one there. All right, so let's look at the first question. So the first question says, define each of the following terms. Okay, define each of the following terms. And then there's statistics, the population and the sample, and then there's a parameter and the statistic. Okay, so how can we define statistics? Okay, so statistics can be defined in two ways. Okay, one, it can be defined as a field of study. Okay, so this one is the easier one, field of study. So if you go at universities such as UNZA and maybe Mukuba, okay, they have a program or a field, okay, which is statistics. Okay, so those students are pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Statistics. So statistics can be a field of study. Okay, but in this course, when they say what is statistics, we're going to be defining what the actual statistics means. Okay, so statistics is a branch of mathematics that is concerned or that is used, okay, in collecting information, organizing that information, analyzing the information, interpreting it, and then presenting it. Okay, so statistics is a branch of mathematics concerned with the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and finally, presentation of the data. Okay, that's what statistics is. And then what is a population? Okay, so a population is simply a complete set of all individuals, items, or observations of interest in a study. Okay, and then now when we talk about a sample will just be a subset of the population selected for a certain analysis. That's what we are going to be defining as a what? As a sample. So I was writing down this definition so that you can also be seeing them as I explain them. Okay, so we've defined statistics, population, sample. We now go to the parameter and a statistic. Okay, so now notice that this is statistic without the S at the end. This is statistics. So these two are actually different. Okay, most students don't get that. So what is a parameter? Okay, so a parameter will be a numerical value that is going to be telling us something about the population. So if I have this population and then I find the mean of that population, that mean of the population, we're going to be calling it as a parameter. Okay, so a parameter is a numerical value that describes something about the population. Okay, and then now when we talk about a statistic without the S at the end there, just saying statistic. Okay, a statistic is a numerical value that will be describing something about the sample. Okay, something about the sample. So the mean of a sample is simply X bar, but the mean of a population is mu. Okay, so a parameter tells us something about the population, and then a statistic tells us something about the what? About the sample. All right. Okay, so welcome back. Let us look at this question here. So the question says, consider each of the following variables. Okay, for each one, state whether it is uh, quantitative or it is qualitative. State whether the quantitative ones are continuous or discrete. State what type of scale the continuous ones are measured on, and then state whether the qualitative ones are nominal or ordinal. Okay, so before we can even state here, we have to understand some terms. Okay, we have to define what a variable is, what is a quantitative variable, what is a qualitative variable, what is a continuous variable, what is a discrete, and then we talk about the four measurement scales that we have. Okay, so on the next page here, I've just put some definitions to help us. So we'll start from the variable. What is a variable? Okay, before we answer that question. So a variable is any characteristics or a quantity that can take different values. So let's say I walk into your class and then I start measuring the heights of everyone in class. Okay, so that height there can be represented by a variable x. Okay, because the height for your friend and the height that you have won't be the same. So meaning that in one class, I can have maybe some people are 1.5, some are 1.7, some are 1.3, like that. So you can see that my variable, which is height here, is taking different values there. So we are going to be calling that as a variable. So any characteristic or a quantity that can take different that can take different values, we're going to be calling it as a variable. Okay, so now these variables, okay, we can have a qualitative variable or a discrete, or a quantitative variable. So when you talk about a qualitative variable, it is just a variable that describes, okay, categories, or uh, it describes categories, or it describes the qualities. So it's non-numeric, okay? So there are no numbers involved there. It's just describing the state of something, okay? So let's say you've cooked the food and then it has gone overnight, right? So what is the state of the food in the morning? Are you going to say it has gone bad or it's still okay? So we're just looking at the quality. Okay, so we're just trying to categorize. So a variable that describes or categorizes, we're going to be calling it as a qualitative variable. It's about the quality. And then the quantitative variable, you can see quant. So meaning something that has to be measured, okay, or something that involves numerical values. So a variable that involves or represents numerical values, we're going to be calling it as a quantitative variable. Okay, so now these quantitative variables can further be divided into two types of variables. They can be divided into discrete variables and also continuous variables. So a quantitative variable that is discrete, it just means that that variable takes on countable values, and those countable values are usually integers. So if I come in your class and then I start counting how many students are there. Let's say, okay, there are 27 students here. You can see that I can easily count them here. Okay, so for a quantitative variable representing numerical values, and we're able to count those numerical values, we're going to be calling it as a discrete variable. Okay, but if we are not able to count, then we are going to be calling it as a continuous variable. So a quantitative variable is continuous if it can take any value within an interval. So if I measure the height of all the pupils that are in that class, they will be between a certain range. Let's say the lowest is 1.3, the highest is 1.9. Okay, so the rest of the people are just going to be between 1.3 and 1.9, and they can take any values because it's just random. Okay, this one can have 1.44, 1.46, 1.71, 1.52, just like that. You can take any value, so you can't manage to actually count something that is in an interval. So we're going to be calling that variable as continuous. Okay, so now apart from the types of variables, we also have what we call as the measurement of scales. So we have four measurements of scales. Okay, the first one is the nominal scale, we have the ordinal scale, we have the interval, and then we have the ratio. So now the nominal scale is a classification into categories with no order. Okay, so for example, the colors of the rainbow. Okay, you're just going to say, okay, there is red there is orange, okay, there is yellow, there is green, okay, there is blue, there's indigo, there's violet. But there's no specific order in which the colors uh, are to be, okay? You can't say blue is greater than red or yellow is greater than green. No, we don't know that, okay? We just know that, okay, this is yellow, this is blue, this is and the like. So you are classifying. So a nominal scale classifies categories with no order, okay? And then ordinal scale, you can see, you can tell from the word odd, meaning order. So something that is ordered, okay? Ordinal scale. So this will classify, okay? Will classify categories with meaningful order. So for example, the level of education that you've actually attained, okay? So there's a higher one and there's a lesser one. So we can have someone with a grade 12, we can have someone with a diploma, we can have someone with a degree, then we have someone with a master's, and then someone with a PhD. So here there's a clear order. We know that someone who has a PhD is actually greater than the rest, right? Okay, so ordinal scale is going to have a meaningful order. And then when you talk about interval scale and ratio scale, okay, then there the important characteristics is just the zero. Okay, so when you talk about the interval scale, there is no true zero in that scale. Then when you talk about the ratio scale, there's a true zero. So what do we mean not true zero and what do we mean true zero? So under the interval scale here, when we say zero here, we do not necessarily mean that the quantity is not present. So a good example, okay, is time or even temperature. Okay, when you say the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius, does it mean there is no temperature? No, the temperature is there, but it's just zero. Or when we say the time is 0, 0, 0, 0, does it mean there's no time? No, the time is there, but it's just 0, 0. So here, under the interval scale, the important characteristics is that it has no true zero. And then when you talk about the ratio scale, it has a true zero. So here, an example can be height. If I say the height is 0, then it means there is no height. Okay. Or I say, okay, the weight or even the mass is 0, then it means there is nothing there. Okay, because it's just 0. Okay, so there's a true 0 there. When we say 0, then it means the quantity is not there. But under the interval scale, when we say 0, the quantity is there, but it's just 0. Okay, so it has like a false 0. All right, so now that we understand this concept here, we can now go back and answer this question here. So they just simply told us here to classify. Okay, if it's qualitative, is it quantitative? If it's quantitative, is it continuous? Is it discrete? And then what type of measurement scale is it? Okay, so we start from the eye color there. Okay, so eye color, does it have any numerical order in it? Okay, does it have any numerical order in it? Or some sort. Okay, no. So this new eye color here is just qualitative. So it will just help us categorize. Okay, that one has brown eyes, that one has blue, this one has green, this one has pink, just like that. So the eye color is qualitative. So I'll just write quali like this. Okay. So what is the type of measurement scale there? Okay, because this one here is just qualitative. The scale of measurement is nominal. There's no order. Okay, because we can't say, okay, that one has brown eyes, so it's greater than the one with the blue eyes. No. So the measurement of scale there is actually nominal. Okay, so eye color is qualitative and then it's nominal. What about stages of cancer? Stages of cancer, okay, they're just used to group. Okay, these ones are in group 2, these ones are in group 3, these ones are, these one are in stage 1, stage 2. Okay, so there's no numerical value there. So that is a qualitative, okay, variable. And is it nominal? Is it ordinal? Is it scale? Is it ratio? When you consider the scale measurements, okay? So this one here is going to be ordinal because it's in order. We know that, okay, those that are in stage 1, okay, maybe they have less severe conditions. Stage 2, okay, slightly more severe. Stage 3, it has started now becoming worse. Stage 4, those that are close to dying, just like that. So there's an order here that is being followed. So the stages of cancer, they are qualitative, yes, but they are in an ordinal measurement style. Okay, what about the weight of a baby at birth given in kilograms? So this is measurement, right? So it's quantitative. So I'll just write quanti. So if it's quantitative, then it has to be continuous or discrete. So this is the measurement of a weight. Weight can be anything, okay? Weight can be anything. So we're going to say it's continuous. And then now the scale measurement will be what? Okay, so weight has a true 0. If they say there's no weight, then there's no one there. There's no baby. Okay, when they say the weight is 0, then there's no baby. So this one here is um a what? Is a ratio. I mean it's a ratio, yes. Okay, because there is a true 0 there. So it's going to be the ratio scale there. Okay. Okay, what about the temperature readings of a patient? Okay, temperature readings can be measured. So this is quantitative. Okay, this is quantitative. Is it continuous or is it discrete? Okay, it's continuous as well because temperature can be anything. Okay, and then is it ratio or is it interval? Okay, remember I gave an example. Temperature is a good example of an interval scale. Okay, because it has no true 0. We can say the temperature is 0, it doesn't mean that there's no temperature. The temperature is there, but it's just 0. Okay, and then part E, they're saying answers to the question, what country were you born in? Okay, answers to the question, what country were you born in? So is that qualitative or quantitative? There's no number involved here. So this is qualitative. Okay, and if it's qualitative, it can either be ordinal or nominal. Okay, so now, does the country you're born in show any order? No, not necessarily. So we're going to say, okay, the measurement scale here is actually what? nominal. Okay, so the measurement scale there is actually nominal. Okay, so now look at the last one, which is F. Okay, so F says for each member of the BMMA 10 class, their total number of appearances for the class sessions this semester. Okay, so now the number of class appearances are countable. We can count, like how many times has this guy attended class this semester. We can simply count, right? And it's dealing with the numerical value. So that one there is going to be classified as one, quantitative, because we are dealing with a numerical value, something that we can count. Okay, and here we can actually count the actual number of appearances that uh, a student has actually made. Okay, so since we can count, then that's a countable value. So it will be quantitative, okay, and then it will also be what? Discrete. Okay, to be discrete. So now for discrete variables, okay, for discrete variables, we cannot classify them under any um, measure of scale. Okay, it can be nominal, it can be ordinal, it can be ratio, it can be interval. So if your data is discrete, then you just end there. Okay, there's no further classification that can be done. Okay, so we're going to say for F, the answer there is that this here describes a random variable which is quantitative. And then since it's counting something that is easily countable, it is what? Discrete. All right, so we are done with that question there. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to access full solutions to that paper, you can subscribe and access them at discretelearning.com. Again, if you're having challenges with your pre-med or your NS, okay, in any of these courses that I've listed here, biology, physics, chemistry, or math, okay, I would like to tell you about a platform that can be a solution to you. So that platform is discretelearning.com. Okay, so we have both the website and the mobile app, and these platforms have videos that can actually help you to better understand whatever you learn in class and just show you a simple way in which to answer questions. Okay, so you can subscribe and get help in any of these courses: biology, physics, chemistry, or mathematics. Okay, both semester 1 and semester 2. So for whatever course you register for here, you're going to access tutorial sheets, full videos for tutorial sheets. You're going to access full videos for assignments. You're going to access full videos for past quizzes, for past tests. Okay, you're going to access full video solutions to past mid-semester exam papers and also final exam papers. Plus, okay, you have an opportunity to consult from us. So maybe if you are watching one of our videos and you do not understand, you can simply inbox us to consult on that particular question. Then we'll be able to help you. Okay. And a bonus is that we also have live classes. Okay. So these live classes, we explain concepts to you on a live class. So meaning you're able to we're able to interact with you and you're able to ask questions there and then so that you understand the concept. Okay, and our videos are basically tailored to your university syllabus. Okay, so we are teaching what you need to know in order for you to actually pass and get to understand these things very easy. So I'm just going to show you that we have solutions to, for example, I'll say all the math tutorial sheets. Okay, it's the same in chemistry, the same in physics, the same in biology. So when you come here, math tutorial sheets, tutorial sheet 1 is on algebra. So all these questions here were solved in a very simplified way that you can understand. Okay, so all these questions here in tutorial sheet 1 were solved, and the videos, they are available on the website. You can watch at your own time, at your own pace, even in your blankets. Okay, tutorial sheet 2 is on exponentials and logarithms. Again, we solved all these questions that you can see in this tutorial sheet 2, and the videos are waiting for you on the website. Okay, so once you watch these videos, you understand the concepts clearly and you'll be able to answer questions in your assessments, like the quizzes, the tests, the mid-semester exam, even the final exam. Okay, there's also tutorial sheet 3 on functions. Again, we solved all these questions here. Okay, how to limit the domain, how to sketch the functions. We talk about the quadratic functions, um, and such things. Okay, all those questions have actually been solved. How to find the composite here. All these things we've solved. The videos are there available for you at any particular time. Okay, so that was tutorial sheet 3. Tutorial sheet 4 is on sequences and series. Again, we've solved all the questions in this tutorial sheet. Okay, all the questions here have been solved. They're there. You can access them on the website. Tutorial sheet 5, differentiation and integration. This is a topic that most students find difficulties with or challenges. Okay, we've solved. Okay, I've shown how you can differentiate in a very easy way. Okay, so how many questions did this tutorial sheet have on differentiation? It had how many questions? 5 questions. We've solved all of them and you can access them on the website. Tutorial sheet 6 is on descriptive statistics. Again, we've done justice to this tutorial sheet. We've explained all the concepts clearly and you can access them on the what? On the website. Okay, so all these questions have been solved. Tutorial sheet 7, which will be the last tutorial sheet on probability for semester 1, okay, has also been solved. So all these questions that you can see here have actually been solved and they're available on the website. Okay, so in addition to the tutorial sheet, guys, you get to access the past papers, the quizzes, the tests, the mid-semester exams, the final exam papers. You get to access them, okay? And also the topic lessons so that you understand the topics fully. They are all available on our website. So we also have this assignment 1 here. It was solved. Okay, so assignment 1 had like 2 questions. There's this one on pharmacokinetics. We solved it. And then question 2 is on exponential decay and growth, okay, of bacteria. We've solved all these questions here and they are available on the what? On the website. So if you need help in any of those courses that are actually listed here, biology, math, physics, chemistry, you can subscribe at discretelearning.com and you're going to access them. So you can contact me on these 2 numbers here, okay, if you want. Again, let me just show you the website for those who have never seen it. So you just go to Chrome here and then type in discretelearning.com. So you can see the discretelearning.com there and then go search, take you to our website. So here, if you don't have an account, you need to create an account. So you just go to start learning now. Okay, then it will take you to the login page. So if you don't have an account, go here, create an account and then log in. But if you already have an account, just put your email, your password there and then log in. Okay, after you log in, these are the things that you're going to see. So you can see mathematics, chemistry, physics, biology, everything that you need uh, to help you. So for example, I'll just use the math folder or the math course. If you open it, you go to your particular university. Okay, so if you're from Unilas semester, first semester, you go here. Unilas second semester, you go there. But if you're from any other university, you go in general mathematics. If you're from Apex, you use those. So I'll just use the semester 1s here. So if I click on the semester 1, you see that it's going to open and I'm going to have 4 folders: topic lessons, summarized, tutorial sheets, past quiz test, and exam paper. So if you go, for example, in the tutorial sheets there, okay, you're going to find videos for all the tutorial sheets. So you go to your intake. Okay, so the current intake now is 2026 January. I'll go in the 2026 January there. Okay, and you're going to see here the assignments are there and all the tutorial sheets are there, so you can learn and I mean you can watch and learn from these videos at your own particular time. And if you have any question, you inbox us. Okay, so my number for those who want to register is 0779 96 40 10. So that is Tutor Pro Solutions. Okay, but if you just want to self-register, you can check the registration video guide in the description below here. It's going to show you how you can create an account on the website, how you can register, how you can pay and access these, okay, automatically without even needing any of my team members. All right, so thank you so much for watching. This has been Tutor Pro Solutions. Until next time, always there for you, and I wish you all the best in your exams.